there, buddies. I wanted to just hop on really quick and do my most depressing makeup tutorial to date and give you some tips on how to do a little Zoom makeup, which I do think, while depressing, I have some helpful tips to offer just because the bulk of my career has been spent optimizing makeup for being on a screen. I also wanted to say that I hope this doesn't come across as pressure to do makeup for Zoom. I don't think anybody needs to wear makeup for Zoom, but if you want to, then maybe this will be helpful. Oh, hello past. It's glamorous finished look future Kiki coming back because I forgot to say something in the intro initially, which is a little update about Salt New York. It's so quick. We are now sold out of the palette mini and the larger palette in French Gray. You can pre-order them on our website, and I highly recommend that you do, because thanks to all of you beautiful people and talking about Salt, it's a struggle to keep up with demand. So if you pre-order the palette mini or the French Gray palette or bundles that include those now, they will be shipped in October because we make everything by hand, and so it takes some time. But at this rate, those October shipments are going to sell out like very quickly. So once the October pre-orders have sold out, I'll announce a new batch that we'll start production on, and that I can't say for sure when those next pre-orders will be delivered, but it'll be like at least November, December, potentially later. So if you want to get the palette mini or the larger palette in French Gray, order it as soon as you can, because October's as soon as you can get it. And then once those sell out, which they will sell out in advance, it'll be an even longer wait. So I'll put the link for purchasing and pre-ordering in the description box. Okay, I'm now just returning back to the future. Some people really enjoy putting makeup on their own face and it's very therapeutic for them, and that's wonderful. I'm not really one of those people. I like to put makeup on other people's face. That's a lot more interesting for me. So I'm approaching this kind of from the standpoint of I want to do this quickly so that then I can eat more Cheez-Its and watch TV before the meeting starts. So with that said, let's get started. I've already primed my face. Anytime you do your makeup, you should make sure your skin is nice and hydrated. I just have my Cerave moisturizer on my face and a little bit of like a lightweight facial oil. It doesn't super matter which one. My skin's just a little on the dry side. If yours isn't, then you maybe don't need that step. Most people are used to doing their makeup for work with the intention of being physically around other human beings. And a few things really change when you're not physically around human beings. You're looking at them through a screen. So the main thing that you're going to want to focus on is structure and contrast, because those are the things that get lost when you're on a video feed. And especially when you're actively streaming with somebody, a lot of that detail gets lost, a lot of the saturation gets lost. So this is a time where you don't have to focus as much on texture issues and covering things really specifically, because detail is lost and that can work in your favor. But in other ways, if you want to look awake, like for example, you haven't been having really weird, vivid quarantine dreams and eating so many gushers and not sleeping, if you don't want to look like that's been your life for the last 5 months, then I would focus on bumping up the contrast, bumping up the structure in your face, and doing some brightening techniques. So as I've talked about pretty extensively, I've been dealing with some adult acne. It is now gone, but I am left with some scarring. I'm going to thank video conferences at this time for not really picking that up once I cover the color of it. In person, yes, you can definitely see the indented texture on my face. On video, not so much. I also don't need to spend a bunch of time on like spot concealing really sneakily because they're not going to see it that well. So I'm just going to go in with a light medium coverage foundation. I'm using the e.l.f. Flawless Finish Foundation, which I said flawlessly. And a damp sponge is the Alori collection. And I'm just going to tap that in and put it on my face. So I'm starting in the areas where I definitely need more coverage, which is around the scarring and then up through the center of the face a little bit. And then on parts of the sponge that are cleaner, I can kind of like move it around a little bit as I get to the edges of my face. Probably doesn't matter if you're going to be on a video. People aren't really going to see little details like that. But it's nice to be in the habit, right? It's getting that right up under the eye, And the corner of my nose. Around the corner of my nose. So you can see this better than anyone's going to see you on Zoom because I'm using an HD camera and I'm not streaming this, so it's able to like fully record and buffer it and show it to you. So you can still see a little bit of my texture, but realistically you wouldn't over zoom. But that's it, I don't need to fret. If you're trying to conserve time, you kind of slap on your coverage a little more recklessly than for real life. I would also say that generally speaking, cameras pick up a lot more red and like ruddiness in your complexion. So if you are using a tinted moisturizer that normally kind of takes care of that in everyday life, but you feel like you're looking a little flushed on camera still in maybe a way that you don't love, just overall you can kind of safely bump up your complexion products and coverage more on camera and it's not going to show and it might be more flattering. So about those gushers filled sleepless nights. Dark circles, yes, definitely a thing now. If they weren't before, maybe they have become one. There's another way that you can use the format to your advantage. So you don't have to set up like a ring light or studio lights or something, but just positioning yourself in front of an even light source, so like in front of a window, is going to really help, and they're actually going to become less noticeable than they would be in real life. So I'm going to use the UOMA Beauty Woke Concealer, which is the only time that I'm allowed to say that word, and I'm just going to dab it underneath my eyeballs, right where it's darkest. I like this concealer. It's probably a little heavier than like my dream come true concealer, just because I do have pretty textured under eyes. But I do really, really like it. It's the one that I've been using, I mean, since I bought it a few months ago. So I tapped that in with my finger a little bit, and now I'm using the sponge to just press her in. So now I'm going to move into adding some color and some structure back into my face. I'm going to use the Salt New York Cream Tint Bronzer in light medium. Lately, I've been wearing light because, well, I don't go outdoors. And so I'm pretty far on the pale end of my personal spectrum. And my boob just popped out, but you guys can't see that, so I could have said nothing, but I said something, and now it's out there. Another amazing tip for Zoom: if your boobs pop out, people don't know unless you tell them. So I'm going to use the Sculpt and Bronze in light medium instead of light because I want it to show up a little bit, and I know that I'm going to lose some of that detail, some of that saturation on camera. And I'm going to beep beep tap it onto my cheekbones, up onto my forehead a little bit, and then just kind of taking this and blending it around, guys. So because I'm trying to reinforce this sort of like, well, I get sleep, my mental health is fine attitude in work environments, I'm going to add a little bit of highlight to my face just to like, gushers who? I don't even know her. So I'm going to actually layer two different highlighters together. The Beige Cream Tint Pro is normally what I use just on a daily basis, like but I want to give the whole complexion a little boost. So I'm going to use a little bit of Warm Tan, which is kind of like a bronzy highlight for moi. And I'm going to mix that in a little bit with the light medium. So it's important to note the difference right now between motion photography, video, and still photography with the flash. If I was taking a picture with the flash, I would not probably put highlight all over my whole cheekbone because the flash is going to pick it up really dramatically. But when you're taking a video, unless you have a really, really strong light source pointed at you, which I doubt any of you are doing, you can get away with, you know, putting highlighter all over a little bit, and it's not going to be as like, as if it were in person in daylight or in a flash photo. So you can see on this side, I just look like hydrated, like not a person who's no longer allowed to buy gushers. I also don't feel the need to be putting this like all over my forehead. Don't really need to do that. But mostly it's kind of on my cheeks and up into my brow bone area. Just a little more lift, a little more tan, a little more, wow, she's handling this really well right now. She is not handling it well. If you want, you can concentrate a little bit of a lighter, like highlighty highlight but you don't have to. I mean, you don't have to do any of this. Just right there, so there's a little more dimension. So I'm using the Cream Tint Pro Beige for this. So another way to quickly add some warmth, dimension, contrast, all of these things we're talking about, is to do a little bit more of a pop of color. Did you notice I live in New York City? Do you hear the sounds that I have no control over from the background? Trucks and ambulances and things, and it's just part. Oh, it listened, it stopped. So rather than using something closer to my lip color, I'm gonna just bump up a little bit, and I'm gonna use Cream Tint Pro Lip and Cheek Tint in Coral, which is one of my favorite shades of life, and I'm gonna use just the tip of that Alori sponge and tap, tap. Done, you're done. That joke is always funny to me. I don't think it's funny to other people, but it is funny to me. And I'm just gonna walk it, because I can just use the sponge butt, the butt of the sponge. Oh, I love this color. How did she manage to get a little, like, cute sunburny tanned look? How is she doing that? Is she not wearing a mask? Is she not social distancing? I am. Maybe this tutorial is a bad idea. Maybe you don't want to look this good, because some people will be like, you individualist bitch. You were at the beach with no mask on, weren't you? And I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to put a little bit of that on my mouth. I always look cute when I put stuff on my mouth. Every time. So cute. Hello. Yeah, I'm doing great. I don't even know what. Gushers? No, I don't know. I haven't heard of that. I don't know what it is. I only eat lettuce derivatives. Thank you. And now I shall do my brows, and I'm keeping this super quick, but again, I want to just add a little bit of face to my face, because sometimes my face is sort of missing from my face. So I'm just trying to put some face back on my face. So Glossier Boy Brow, brushing up and out, something quick. Again, this is the beauty of isolation is not having to do things as well. You don't have to be so detailed. You can just kind of onto your face. I started out this video like, I'm a professional and I have important professional tips for you that's going to help your life. And now I'm like, so just your face. That's all you have to do. Gushers. Yeah, basically my big tip from this video has been, do a bad job because no one can see you. And now I shall use a little bit of brow flick to just fill in my holes on my brows, you perverts. I wish this was a little more pigmented, but otherwise I like it. You would think my love was really something good, baby, if I could. Did you know that Change the World by Eric Clapton was produced by Babyface? I just learned this yesterday, and it blew my mind and confirmed the statistic that Babyface produced every good song that was ever made in any genre. And now I shall take a Wayne Goss brush and these little elf bite things, which I think are cute. So this is a big one. When it comes to your eye makeup, you can keep it so simple. The bottom line is that you just want to put your face on your face. As I said, you want to just bump up the contrast a little bit so that people can see that you are in fact awake right now. So based on whatever your skin tone is, just using like a medium matte tone like this and a brush that's fitting for the size of your lid space. I have not very big lids, so I don't need a huge brush. Just a blending brush and kind of like pressing and blending that all along your lid super quick like. Also, Eric Clapton didn't even kind of write that song. These have been your Eric Clapton Change the World facts for today's video. So now I'm going to use this smaller brush with the same color so I can get like right into the lower lash line. Just smudging a little bit. This is so easy when you use a color that's not too much darker than your skin tone. It's very forgiving. It's very quick. I'm going to go back in with this same brush and use a little bit of a shimmery color that's the same tone. Not a necessary step, but I do think it helps to liven things up a little bit. Just kind of stick that on the center. So haphazardly. Because at this point I'm like, oh no, the meeting's in 4 minutes and I want to eat more Cheez-Its. So I'm going to use this brush and this e.l.f. cream liner in brown. And I'm using brown because it's kind of like the shadow. It's just so easy to smush around and it's more forgiving than using black. And I'm just pressing it into my upper lash line a little bit and stabbing myself in the eye. Don't forget to do that. Normally I would blend the eye that I put the product on before moving to the next one, but I haven't really used this very many times and it actually a little goes a long way, so I had too much on my brush. So smushed them on, make sure I got down into my lash line, and now I just smush around with my finger a little bit. Yeah, really the main message of this tutorial is just like do a worse job because people can't really see you. I'm going to curl my lashes, throw on a little mascara. I'm going to use the Urban Decay Perversion mascara because I am a pervert. Putting it on, putting it on. So that's the finished look. She's awake, she's professional, her tits only came out one time, and she is gushers free, well rested, living her best quarantine life. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions for me, just leave them in the comments, and feel free to like this video if you liked it, subscribe to this channel, follow me on really just Instagram and Twitter at Kiki G Makeup. Twitter for political rants, Instagram for political rants. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I will see you soon. Bye.